Hey, it's Kevin with the New Warehouse podcast here at MODEX 2026. Hey, it's Kevin with the New Warehouse podcast here at MODEX 2026, and right now I am at the YMX logistics booth. As you can see behind me, we got a yard truck here, and we're going to talk a little bit about that with Matt Yearling. Matt, it's good to see you. How's the show going?
Fantastic. It's always good on a Tuesday, and so yes, this hasn't disappointed at all. So I'm happy to catch up with you again today.
Absolutely. Happy to come here. Happy to see you in person. Also happy to see the truck in person too. That's pretty cool to have here in the building. So for people that are not familiar with YMX Logistics, why don't you just give us a brief overview?
So YMX Logistics is a tech-enabled third-party logistics provider that's really just focused on yard operations. Mm-hmm. So anything between inside the four fences, outside the four walls, moving trailers around in yards. That's what we do. That's what we do better than anybody else on the planet. And we like to bring a big truck to show that's really what we do. We don't manufacture the trucks. Yeah. We utilize the trucks, and we do that more effectively than anybody else.
Yeah, absolutely. And not only the truck itself, right, but also the technology behind it and all those types of things. The yard operating system, I think you all like to call it, right? So, So tell us a little bit, when it does come to the yard, right? Because a lot of things here at MODEX, right, are kind of inside the four walls, right? But you all are operating in that area outside the four walls, the yard, which is also critical, right? So tell us a little bit about what do you see in terms of the state of the industry when it comes to yard operations?
That's a good question. So the way I see it, it's really yard became very relevant back in the 80s. So third-party logistics providers and carriers used to do some yard management as part of their services, periphery, and they still do it today, but it's not necessarily a core competence. Yeah. And then what you saw back in the 90s coming into the 2000s, you saw pure play providers just focusing on yard and shuttling operations. And then you started seeing a wave of technology. I mean, I was part of that wave too, but in the late 2000s, going into 2010, it's like, well, how do you take that and look at this a bit differently and maybe optimize it a little bit more? And so now where we're at today is, okay, how do you take that up even further, right? And really get a best of breed, third-party logistics provider that's got more technology enablement and delivering on the promise. Our promise is, hey, everybody focuses on inside the four walls. Sure. In terms of sophistication and understanding throughput. There's nobody on the planet that looks at the yard as a specific problem, but it is in between transportation and warehousing. Yeah. And so we have got to the point where we're delivering on the same level of sophistication that occurs inside the four walls, inside the four fences. And so now it's a different conversation to have. Yard operations, small part of the overall spend, but it's very relevant in terms of value creation and from a big shipper perspective. And what does that mean? What does that translate? And technology is a big part of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And tell us a little bit about that technology specifically, right? Because I think we see the yard, right? I mean, it's a physical space, right? We see the trucks, obviously. We see the containers. We see the trailers, the things that need to be moved around in the yard. But tell us, how does the technology come in and enable all of those kind of physical pieces to come together?
It's a combination of many different elements. I mean, in my past life, I built yard management systems. Sure. Yard management systems is just a small piece of the overall puzzle. And really what we're announcing this week is kind of like, okay, up-leveling it even further. Really the value is created, and this is part of what I observed when I was a software vendor. I would sell software, and I could show how you create value, but it was really at the mercy of who purchased or deployed that software and whether or not they utilized it effectively. Yeah. And so it was very clear, and this is like more than 10 years ago at this point, it's very clear that it's the convergence of operations and technology focusing on what is the problem you're trying to solve. Yeah. Okay? It isn't about let's go and hunt for the next widget and apply it and see whether or not it works. It's like, no, understand what you're trying to do and what you need to do to actually upgrade that experience. And so that's always been the thesis, and that is we will take responsibility of driving value for that customer, applying the appropriate technology for that. And really what we've done this week is take it even further. It's like people talk about AI. Sure. People are always concerned about AI. Well, AI really augments really humans, and so what we're focusing on is that operations technology, digital human connection, and how do we make some decisions, and how do we connect the physical and digital world in an autonomous way. From a digital twin, we've got computer vision, data capture, digitalizing, tracking all that, so we can go and look at a number of different aspects associated with how we're optimizing.
Yeah.
And that's really it. So we're orchestrating, we're executing, we're planning, and then we're also modeling. And so what we are comfortable at delivering now is we can come to a customer, show us some data. If you don't have the data, we will observe, we will model it, and we're not asking you how many trucks do you have. We're asking you, what do you use? What's going on inside the four walls?
Sure, yeah.
What's coming in? What in terms of shipments coming in and out? What is it? How we're going to model that and actually deliver a solution that upgrades your experience from day one.
Okay.
So delivering on doing more with less from day one, and then taking you on a journey of value creation. And what we have actually done is that there are many, many different customers that say the contract value is like $2 million a year, right? We've actually are able to lean in on that journey over time to actually deliver more than half of our contract value in additional opportunities of cost improvement and value creation in their operation, whether or not that's in transportation or warehousing. It's there. It's just nobody understands. And then typically people just throw assets and people at the problem all the time because it's still that small spend. Now you don't need to do that anymore. Engage an organization, a professional organization like us. Let's have a look at the data. We use that data. We lean in, drive value, identify more opportunities for value, and that's it. That's our value proposition.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that, and I think that that is such a common thing that has been in the industry. Is like you said, throw more assets at it, throw more bodies at it, but you can only do so much of that, right? I mean, when we talk about the yard, like I can only fit so many assets in the yard, right?
That's exactly
I can only fit so many bodies within the four walls. So at some point you have to get smarter about that. So that's what you're kind of bringing to market here, right?
Yeah. Well, and a final point, right? So we're talking about autonomous.
Sure.
That's autonomous from a broader concept in terms of technology, augmenting humans to actually make the right decisions. But we're also deploying autonomous trucks.
Yeah.
And so here's the other thing, right? What people don't understand is just because I have an autonomous truck or a robot, it doesn't mean to say you need a professional organization.
Right.
You need to have a professional organization to understand the application use and deployment and the care and feeding thereof. And when is the appropriate time to have a robot or an autonomous truck in your operation? And so people think it does everything, and we know it does not. So that's also part of the journey is, again, being pragmatic, understanding the customer, understanding what they're trying to achieve, and then taking them on a journey. But really at the end of the day is like, what is the value? Like, what is it you're trying to do in your operation? And have a partner to be able to take you on that journey. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think that's fantastic to hear about, and congratulations on the new announcement as well.
Thank
Great
you.
to hear about it here. And now I think we're going to talk to Erin Mitchell on the team as well to get some additional perspective.
Thank you so very much for your time, Kevin. Always a pleasure.
Thanks, Matt. All right, so we just talked to Matt about the technology layer and everything to do with YMX and also their new announcement this week. But now I'm going to talk to Erin Mitchell, and she's going to tell us a little bit about the operations side. And Erin, tell us a little bit about, from the operations perspective, right? Because not only do you have the tech layer, but you have the assets, right? Yeah. You are an actual 3PL, right?
Yes.
But tell us a little bit about kind of how do you keep the culture of the operations and things running from, I guess, like the people side of things?
Yeah, great question. So first off, I'm going to start with, it is kind of easy to keep the culture alive and vibrant at YMX just because we're growing so fast. There's a ton of excitement from all corners of the operation. There's a lot of energy.
Yeah.
So that part does make my job easier, right? But I think the things that we like to focus on and the things that make us special are really our focus on safety, of course. Like we employ drivers. We employ drivers all across the country. And so safety is very important to us, and we utilize technology to help us with that safety platform as well.
Yeah.
One of the other things is our focus on customer success. So our customer success is our success.
Right.
So we embed that all the way through our organization, from driver up to our sales team and our C-suite and everything else. So we make sure that our drivers know that their job is to make the customer successful and that they have the tools. It's our job to make sure they have the tools and the knowledge to do that. So we make that very important, and it's very much a part of everything we do at YMX. And then the last thing is the opportunities that we provide. So I said before, we're a growing company. We focus a lot on training and development of our employees and giving people opportunities to grow and expand their careers. So, and that includes all of our drivers and making sure that they've got opportunities to join training teams, to do supervisory training opportunities, things like that. So that's a huge importance to us. We also recognize that as part of our explosive growth is that we need to hire a lot of talent, whether it's driver talent or deployment team talent or other parts of the organization. And so we recognize that we can't do that fast enough unless we include everybody. So our jobs, we try to make sure that we're structuring them so that they're opportunities that appeal to women drivers. There's a lot of women truck drivers out there that are looking for places and ways to drive, as well as women in logistics. So we try to make sure that we're always very forthcoming with these opportunities, and that we have women as part of our hiring panels, women as part of our candidate slates, and that we're making sure that we've got diverse candidates and opportunities for all of our people.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic, and shout out to MHI. They had a women in supply chain 3-hour workshop this week, which I think was fantastic, to see that stuff.
I heard it was great.
And women in trucking too. I'll give them a shout out as well.
Yeah.
But great to hear that, and obviously love the emphasis on the safety aspect too, as well, right? Especially from the driver perspective, because the yard is not always the safest place, right? I mean, there's a lot of moving things going on. There's a lot of low visibility from trailers, containers, the trucks themselves as well. So love to hear how you're approaching that and making sure that the culture is, safe, is on board, and it's great to hear that, there's enthusiasm too with the growth as well.
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about that. So there's a couple tools that we have in our pocket that we use to help ensure that communication is open with our drivers.
Sure.
One of them is our drivers have an app that's got an always-on feature. So at any given time, because our drivers work 24/7, so they don't always have someone else in the yard with them that's another YMX employee. There are some of our drivers that are by themselves in a truck yard working overnight. So this always-on app allows them to give us feedback in real time. So say they come up with a safety thing that maybe they deem is not important enough to call their supervisor or call someone and get them out of the bed, but they can give us the feedback in the app kind of real time, and then first thing in the morning, our entire leadership team reads all of those app comments to make sure that we're addressing. Yeah, so very much a focus there, and so it's not just safety things, but any other kinds of concerns drivers might have. We get that feedback in real time. The other thing that we do that I think is fairly unique to us is we do give our drivers a card and a QR code.
Okay.
So they can give that card, or they can publish that QR code on their cab or in our welcome centers, so that other carriers that are coming into our yard, other parties that are in the vicinity, can also give us feedback on the behaviors and the actions of our drivers. So we get a lot of feedback that says, hey, we love YMX drivers, they helped us out today, or they're always safe, or they're always friendly. But we can also get feedback of, hey, we saw one of your drivers and maybe they weren't behaving safely. And so we have that channel of communication open as well to help ensure that we're providing safe services for the people around us.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I love that the leadership sees the feedback immediately and has some reaction to it, and it captures that. So fantastic to hear about the culture and how you kind of keep everything together on the operations side and how you're continuing to grow as well. So I appreciate you talking to me today.
Thank you. This was fun.
All right, thank you. All right, so we just talked to Matt and Erin from YMX, and now we are going to talk to industry analyst Bart De Muynck here, and he's going to tell us a little bit about what he sees from a yard perspective overall in the industry. So first, Bart, good to connect with you. How's the show going so far?
It's going great, Kevin. Good to see you.
Yeah, absolutely. You too. So tell us a little bit about, from the yard perspective, what are you seeing as kind of the current state of yard operations out here in our industry?
Yeah, so I've been in the industry now for over 30 years. The yard has always been an area that's been overlooked by a lot of companies.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I find that more recently people are starting to understand that the yard has a lot of importance. Why? Because we've done so much effort on the warehouse side and transportation side. We've optimized that. We've created a lot more velocity. Now the yard has become an even bigger bottleneck because every truck going in and out, it has to go through the yard, right? You can't just go from transportation into the warehouse. And so the yard is on a lot more people's mind, trying to understand how do we really control operations. It goes beyond technology. How do we look at the process? How do we look at the metrics? And how do we really overall create efficiency across all of logistics, where yard is an essential piece of?
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree. I mean, that's just kind of what I've seen in my career too. It's been a little overlooked, right? Especially if you're inside the four walls. Like, you only see it when you open the dock door, basically, or when you leave for the night or come in the morning in some cases. But definitely a critical point, right? Because that's that kind of entry point where everything's coming into the building, essentially, right? And certainly I've seen cases where things get lost in the yard, right? Hard to imagine a big trailer getting lost, but certainly possible. So tell us a little bit about, we're here with YMX, so tell us a little bit about their new announcement and this week and kind of how that fills some of those gaps.
Yeah, it's super exciting to hear about their autonomous yard operations solution. It's something that, to be honest, when I was in the industry, either on the logistics side, on the 3PL, and then as well with PepsiCo, that one day we would have something as holistic. Not only does it bring the people, the process, and the technology together, but really allows us to not just execute, but even simulate and really look at things holistic from an end-to-end perspective. And back to your comment, right? People sometimes think the yard is not that big of a deal. Right. It's typically a much smaller part of their logistics cost. It has a huge impact on logistics operation. I sometimes use this analogy. Imagine you have a really nice car, $150,000 car, and you come to a grinding halt. And what's the problem with the car? It's a $2 fuse that blew. So it's not always the cost of something, but it's the impact it has on your operation. Now, being able to use this new solution in your yard, get that holistic view, align it both with transportation and warehouse. It goes beyond the operation efficiency in your own yard. It goes to how do I deal with carriers coming in, be that shipper of choice, as well as to the customer and improving your customer service.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love the analogy there about the tiny car part, right, that's holding everything up. But I think that's such a great analogy because, the smallest kind of disruption in any part of the supply chain, right, has this ripple effect and can lead downstream to a bigger problem, right? And the yard being one for sure, right? If we cannot find the inventory or the trailer with the inventory in it, that's going to throw off the operations inside the four walls, and then the outbound side too, and then the customer is going to be impacted at the end of the day. So great perspectives here, and really appreciate you joining me for a couple minutes here to talk a little bit about this.
It's awesome, Kevin. Thanks for having me.
All right, thank you. Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning into today's video here on our YouTube channel, the New Warehouse Podcast, and I appreciate you tuning in. If you liked what you saw, make sure you subscribe to our channel, and if you like this video in particular, make sure you like it as well. And if you want to get this great t-shirt that you see in the video behind me, Warehouses Are Sexy, head to warehousesAreSexy.com and get your own.